everybody. How you guys doing? I'm just going to give it a few minutes just to let people join in. Hey guys. Hi guys. So, good morning and welcome to today's live session. Hi, morning. I see you guys joining in. Oh, thank you. I love my hair. Thank you. Okay, so today we're basically going to be tackling a topic that is an essential in a mom's life if they choose to follow the journey. And I'm specifically choosing or saying the word choosing because not every mom chooses to follow this route. And so I'm just saying that very consciously. Hi guys. So, unfortunately, not every mom will have an opportunity to go through this journey, but some majority go through the journey. And in case you're wondering, I am talking about breastfeeding. So today we're going to be tackling breastfeeding. I'm getting mega distracted by looking at what you guys are saying. I should be looking at the camera and facing you guys. But by way of introduction, if you don't know me, my name is Olerato. I'm actually a vlogger over on Instagram page called Mommy and Baby Approved, where I share my life online with my little family. Today we're going to be talking to Samantha from At the Baby. I'll tell you now. So we're going to be talking to Samantha today, and she's going to be giving us quick tips and tricks and sharing important information with us about breastfeeding and helping us, guiding us through this journey. I will be very honest with you guys. I am a breastfeeding mom myself. I have a tiny little newborn baby who is 2 months old as of a few days ago, but she was a preemie, so she's technically speaking only 2 weeks old, but 2 months old. So I'm going to do a quick bio for Samantha so that you guys know exactly who we're talking to. Samantha is a midwife and an SACLC lactation consultant. She is a mother of 2 boys that are growing way too quickly. She spends her morning helping new parents with breastfeeding as well as running a support group for moms. During the afternoon, she is by the side in the sports field, I suppose, watching her little kiddos playing. And in the evenings, she offers courses to empower moms or parents, antenatal courses. So I'm not sure if Samantha has joined in just yet. I don't see her here. I'm going to be sending her an invite so that we can get cracking on this topic because I'm super excited to learn all that she's going to be sharing. I need quick tips and tricks myself. Breastfeeding can be a very daunting journey, especially if you are not necessarily prepared for it, because half the time I find we get prepared for labor and delivering our little bundles of joy and we forget the post-delivery portion. I, for one, was one of those who completely forgot about that and struggled a little bit. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and add some. You guys sent in your questions. I have a few right here that I'm going to be reading out and we're going to be discussing with Samantha. So if you have a few questions, just pop them on here. I'm going to try my best to watch as the screen is going up so that I can catch your questions while we're talking about this topic. So waiting for Samantha to join in. So while we're waiting, I hope you guys are keeping safe. So that you're taking every precautionary measures to protect yourself from the virus and what's currently going on. Stay home, stay sane, most importantly, and just hold on tight. We're all in this together. Samantha is trying to join in, however, I'm not too sure what's happening. Okay. There you go. Pressing fingers and hoping it works. See, the thing with technology is when you need it the most.
Hi, can you see me?
Hi, I can hear you, but I can't see you yet.
Okay.
Live going around.
Yeah, I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay.
Is there anything I need to do?
Not yet. I think we do have to see your face though. So it's still going around. I'm not sure. Do you see yourself though on your end?
I'm not sure. I'm in my best Wi-Fi zone. No, I can't.
Could it be that
Hello, can you see me yet?
No, not yet. I can hear you. I hear you perfectly. I just can't see you yet.
Oh no, we're having technology issues here.
I know, that's exactly what I just said. I said technology when you need it most.
I checked everything before we started and it doesn't want to work.
Let's see. Let's give it a few minutes. It's really just spinning around.
There, I can see
exit,
myself.
and then I will try rejoin you. Oh, this is
now.
Yes.
Hi, can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for this live today.
We're breaking up.
Am I breaking up?
Pleasure. I'm just going to put my headset in because I think I'll be able to hear you a bit better.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yeah, I can hear you much better now. Much better.
Okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely. That's much better. Cool. Hello, all the moms who have joined, all the parents.
Hi, guys. Yes, I've been trying. I did a live on my page before I came on here. And I was like, come join us, guys, because they sent through a lot of questions. So we're going to have quite a bit to discuss today. Can you hear me?
Perfect. That's what we like. I love questions.
Yes.
Ah.
Can you hear me now? Are we good to go?
Why are we breaking up? Hi. So I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go ask my family to all get off the Wi-Fi and see if that helps.
Okay. All right, so sorry guys, please be patient with us for just a little bit. We're having some technology issues here, as usual. But yeah, I'm gonna rejoin Samantha just now real quickly. She's just gone to do something real quick, and then I will join her right back and we'll start the conversation. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. Give me a thumbs up if you can. I hope I'm not breaking up as well. But yeah, I'm gonna join Samantha back into this live real quickly. She's just sorting out a few things and then she'll be back and we'll start the conversation. Hi, Macheba, Yvonne, I see you guys. Thank you for the thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. All right, here we go. We're joining Samantha right back.
Hi. I can see you. I was just kicking my kids off the Wi-Fi to see if that helps.
Okay. Well, they're on YouTube and stuff.
No, they're actually on school. So I just told them to stop school for a few minutes so I could do this.
Okay, so we're gonna have to make it real quick because school is waiting.
Yeah, school. If they were playing, I would have had no problem. But cool. So go for your first question while we wait for my video.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get going. We still can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's stick with that for now. I'll try to rejoin the video as we go.
Yes. So today we're going to be tackling breastfeeding. I'm not sure if you want to say a few words before. I've already done a massive intro. I've introduced you.
Oh, wow.
But before we dive into the questions, do you want to say a few words, maybe just a quick?
Cool. So I can see some of you that I know. I can see your names popping up here, so you know me. Um, Others of you who don't know me, I'm super passionate about breastfeeding. And what I find a good thing is to say what you really need on your side is cheerleaders. So that's my aim, is to get people support and to have people behind you cheering you on. And that's hopefully what we're going to chat a little bit about today as well, is how to get those supporters on your side. That's the idea. Cool.
Yeah. Actually, I really love that you say giving support, because more than half the time, we don't necessarily, as parents, as breastfeeding moms, we don't necessarily get the support we need. And if you do get a little bit of support, it's mostly criticism, being told what you're not doing right instead of what you can do to improve what you're doing. I really like that you mentioned that.
Exactly.
So I'm going to start off with the questions, and
Cool.
I went through some of them so quickly. I had asked some of my besties over on my channel to send through the questions, and one that comes up a lot is, how can you increase your breast milk when you're breastfeeding?
Okay, that is probably the question I get the most as well. And the problem with this is there's so many myths out there, so many marketing things like teas and bars and all of these random things. So I'm going to set a few things straight. Maybe some of the marketers are going to hate me for this, but but the first place to really start is to understand why your supply is low in the first place. Because you can drink as many teas and bars and pump as much as you want, but if you're not fixing the underlying problem, you're never going to actually catch up.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, because this is where you need help and to find out what's going on. And there's often a reason. So it could be an underlying medical reason. It could be a latching issue. It could be a how you feeding issue. There are a number of things that we could have a look at. And that's why it's so important to actually see someone about it, rather than just asking random people what to do to increase the supply. And then the other important thing to understand is that milk supply works on supply and demand. So if there's an increased demand, there'll be an increased supply, because you need to send messages to your body to say, produce more milk, produce more milk. So if those messages aren't going through, we're not going to produce more milk.
Yeah. So would you then recommend that demand feeding is the way to go than feeding on a schedule? And I'm asking this because I just had my little one who was a preemie. She was in the NICU for about a month. And when she left, she was coming home, they told me I need to feed her every 3 hours. Obviously, in my mind, I was like, what if she's hungry before then? And I was just baffled by that. So would you recommend demand feeding or schedule feeding?
So from a breastfeeding point of view and a milk supply point of view, definitely demand feeding. It really is the best. And I always say, we've got to remember these babies are human beings. So if you think about yourself, today you're going to eat everything that's put in front of you in the kitchen. You're going to open the fridge 85 times to get something, whether it's a snack or a meal or a juice or something. And then tomorrow you're going to be a bit like, nah, not hungry today. I don't really feel like eating. So you've got to allow these babies to actually learn to listen to their bodies. Because I always say, if you feed them on a schedule, what if they've got a little bit of a headache and their whole body is screaming at them saying, I need fluid, I need fluid, I need fluid. And you are now saying, no, my app hasn't beeped yet. So that means you cannot feed your baby yet. All right. And then what do we teach the babies? Not to listen to their bodies and only eat on a schedule. So if we look at our long-term health in terms of feeding and that, it's really important that we try and let them listen to their bodies and eat when they're hungry and drink when they're thirsty. And when they're not hungry and not thirsty, not to eat and drink. And then I think that's good advice for all of us in terms of eating, rather than eating 1 o'clock, or because of things like that. And from a milk supply point of view, that is really what sends the messages to the body to say how much milk to produce. And if we look at research, that's also telling us that scheduled feeding definitely is one of the reasons why some people have a low milk supply.
Yeah. Definitely makes sense. Another question that kept coming up is, how can one prepare their nipples for breastfeeding? I know for a fact when I had my daughter, my first daughter, Even with my second, when I had my son, I went through a period where my nipples were cracked. It was just painful. Breastfeeding, I used to dread feeding the baby because I'd be in so much pain. And it lasted for about 2 weeks or so, and then it got better. But during that period, it was really rough. So is there anything that one can do to just get yourself prepared, get your nipples ready so they know that it's going to happen?
Baby's coming. To be honest with you, it's not really the right approach. I know in days before us, our moms were told to use scrubbing brushes and all sorts of random things to prepare their nipples, which I think is really a bit harsh, if you ask me. So honestly, no. For me, the best way to prepare yourself for breastfeeding is actually to be educated. So I do a lot of prenatal breastfeeding classes, specifically designed for breastfeeding, because the cracked nipples and the pain and all of that is actually got to do with poor latching, poor milk management, things like that sometimes. So if we get all of that right from the beginning, you should never have pain and discomfort and all of that. That is actually not normal. Remember, pain is your body's way of saying to you, stop, something's wrong, get help. Okay. But for some reason, as new moms, we tend to think pain is normal. So we're sort of like, oh, it's normal, just power through, just sit on your own and get over it. And that's really not true. So the first sign of pain or cracking or anything is a sign for you to say, stop, I need to get help here, or I need to redo something or relook at something or learn. Because remember, breastfeeding is a learned thing. It's not something that just happens. I always say in the days before, we all lived in a village, and the village elders who were in charge of new moms who had babies would come in and teach you how to breastfeed. So, and for some reason now we think we can just magically know how to do it. And
now it comes natural. It didn't come natural to me.
It's a learned event. So it's something we actually need to learn how to do. And the other thing is, before we used to watch people when we lived in villages, we used to see people breastfeeding all day, every day. Now we never physically see it. I mean, I always ask when I do talks and things, I say, who's physically watched a baby latch onto a breast? And there may be one or two in the audience who have watched their sister or, someone like that breastfeed, but we don't see it often anymore, like all over the place. So how are we supposed to know how to do it? You can't go run the comrades if you've never trained. So can't expect these new moms to just know how to breastfeed.
That's true. That's very true. So speaking of latching,
yes.
How can one make sure that a baby is latching on correctly? Especially when you get to the phase where now the child is screaming their lungs off, they're hungry, it's time to eat, and you're trying to be calm, but it can be very challenging. How can you make sure that you get that perfect latch each time?
Yeah. Oh, this is where I wish I had my video on, and I'm still trying to get it on, because I want to show you, but I'm going to walk you through it. Sorry?
It's still going around in circles. We can't see
I know. I keep trying all different settings to try and get it on, but it doesn't seem to want to do it. So I'll just walk you through it, and then what I can maybe do is post a video for you if you want on your page. Let's see. But I want everyone in the audience now, including you, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to hold a bottle of water in front of you, or a pretend one. Can you do this for me? Because everyone can see. Just a pretend bottle. Your pretend bottle in front of you. Okay, now I want you to take a big sip, as if you're taking a big sip of your water bottle. Can you do that for me? Yeah. Now, can you see her neck extension? That's exactly what we're looking for here. Now, I want you to hold your water bottle to the side where your shoulder is. Hold it to the side of your face. Okay?
This side?
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter which side. Now, I want you to take a sip without moving the water bottle. So now you've got to turn your head. And can you see now you can't get that extension up? Because now you can't get a big sip. Now I want you to hold your water bottle down at your chest, just between your boobs. I want you to hold your water bottle between your boobs. Now try to take a big sip. Try to take a big sip of your water. Can you take a big sip?
Not really.
Can't, okay? So the only way to take a nice, good sip of your water bottle is to have the water bottle directly in front of you, okay? And with that neck extension. So remember, these babies are humans, so they have to do the same thing. So in order to get a good latch, I want moms to always have that baby tummy to mummy. So I want them facing inwards, okay? So always have that baby tummy to mummy. Then what we're going to do is we're going to line their nose in line with your nipple, because that will force them into that beautiful extension you were showing us when you were taking a sip of your water. So tummy to mummy, nose to nipple. Okay? Now I want you to take your hand and I want you to hold it on the back of your head. Can you put it on the back of your head?
Which hand? Anyone?
Doesn't matter, okay? All right, hold your back of your head, okay? Now when someone holds the back of your head, what do you feel like you want to do?
Do this.
Okay, now imagine your nipples in that person's mouth and you pulling away like this, okay? So always put your hands behind the neck. So put your hands behind your neck rather, okay? Now what does your head want to do? Now it wants to go into that beautiful extension, okay? So when we're feeding a baby, we tummy to mummy, nose to nipple, no hands above the ears, okay? Then we wait for that baby to open its mouth nice and wide. And then we bring the baby towards the breast. Because I know all our moms try to do is they try to aim their breast at the baby and they pull their baby towards they put their boob towards the baby instead of bringing the baby towards the breast.
Yeah.
So these are things. Tummy to mummy, nose to nipple, no hands above the ears, wait for them to open wide and bring baby towards you, towards the breast.
Makes sense. Okay. I'm actually learning a lot because I will self-confess here, I'm one of those people, I can only feed my daughter when we are lying down because that seems to be the most comfortable position for me. Oh, yay, we can see you now.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to grab my baby and quickly show you.
Yes, I was just about to ask you to just go through it one more time.
Yeah.
So that we can
see you. All right. So where we want baby is we want baby tummy to mummy, okay? Then we have the nose in line with the nipple, okay? And then we wait for the baby to open wide and we oomph baby on. And can you see how I'm holding behind the neck, not behind the head, okay?
Yeah.
Because the minute you hold behind the head like that, what you're doing is you're pushing here, okay? You're pushing baby down, all right? And remember, we couldn't drink in this position, okay?
Yeah.
We needed baby in this nice extension position. And by holding behind the neck, you're supporting, but you got them in a nice extension position as well. Okay? And then we wait for that baby to open nice and wide, and we bring that baby towards the breast. That's the important part. And the thing to remember as well is that babies actually need to create a seal with their lips and a seal with their tongue. Okay? So we can't break that seal. Now, I can tell you something that everyone does, okay, is they're worried about the baby breathing. So what do? I'm sure Instagram's looking at my boob. I don't really care. What they do is they do this and they make a hole for the baby's nose, okay, over there, because they're worried about baby breathing. And what that does is it breaks the seal. Okay, so now this baby's worked so hard to seal so nicely, and now that's breaking the seal. So now the baby has to pull back and has to suck just on the nipple. And that's where we start to get our cracks and our pain and everything. Your baby can breathe. Okay, I promise your baby can breathe. And you can feel your baby breathing. And your baby's a human being. So if it can't breathe, it's going to let go and it's going to fight you.
Yeah, moving around.
It's going to say, help, oh, I can't breathe, help me. Okay, it's not just going to keep sucking and drinking if it can't breathe. Okay, so don't break the seal.
That makes actually perfect sense. I see there's a question here that says, what are tips for mommies with tongue-tied babies?
Okay, so oral restrictions or tongue ties, we're seeing more and more of it as more moms start to breastfeed, okay? And the thing with it is you really need to have it assessed by a practitioner who's well-versed in assessing tongue ties and that. And then you've got a choice. You can go see ENTs who are trained in it to actually release the tongue tie. So it's actually quite a small, quick procedure to have it released. And then we do some suck training exercises to get the baby drinking well. And then other moms who don't want to have the tongue tie released, but still want to continue breastfeeding, if you're having no pain or no problems and your milk supply is good and baby's gaining weight, it's fine to continue breastfeeding. And what you want to try and do is to make sure that you get your nipple right far back into the baby's mouth. Okay, so there's a couple of feeding positions that we use. And you can look up a few on YouTube and stuff. Some of them are called the nipple flipple. Some of them are called the koala hold. And those are just different positions we can use to help get that nipple right back and to drop that baby's tongue to help them seal. So to help them create that seal around, because that seal is what's so important, so that the baby can use the pressure to actually be, so the baby can use pressure to actually be able to pump that milk out of the breast. And that's the important part. But some moms who are really in pain because of tongue ties, you may need to consider having it released. All right. And also, depending on how the elasticity is of it, you may need to consider it. But the idea is, if your baby does have a tongue tie, it's ideal to rather be under the care of a lactation consultant or an ENT who's well versed in tongue ties and breastfeeding to actually be walking you through the process on how to actually deal with it.
Okay. It's always best to seek professional advice if you're not sure. So another question, with formula feeding, it's very easy to see that the baby's getting enough milk because the bottle will be empty. Now with breastfeeding, it's a whole different case. How can you tell if the baby's getting enough breast milk?
Okay. Also a good question, because unfortunately we're obsessed with apps and numbers and limits and we want to know that our baby drank 60 mils. That's sort of, so I think a lot more people would breastfeed if we could have a little monitor on our boob telling us that our baby drank 60 mils. I think we'd feel better.
It would be great. Yes.
So I always told you I like to start with the cause of the problem, okay? And that's trusting our bodies, okay? So the number one step to this is learning to trust your body. You trusted your body to have sex. You trusted your body to grow a baby. You trusted your body sort of to deliver that baby, although that's where our trust starts to dwindle a little bit. And now you need to trust that you can feed your baby. So the number one step is saying, I'm amazing. My body is amazing. I can feed this baby. That's the number one step. And stop doubting yourself. But then from a more practical side, what we're looking at is we need to look at that baby. So instead of trying to watch signs of the clock or the app or whatever is telling us how long the baby should feed or how much, is to learn signs when the baby is full. So we look from things like nutritive and non-nutritive sucking. You look at those type of things. We have a look at baby's demeanor, how much are they winding, try and understand the difference between needing to wind and actually wanting to suck nutritively for food. So those are some things we can teach moms to look at. And then the other thing we look at is nappies. So I have some moms telling me they're really worried that their baby's not getting enough. And then I say to them, well, how many wet nappies are they having? Oh, flip, I go through like 12 a day. They soak themselves. Okay. And I'm like, so now why are we worried about how much milk your baby's getting? Because all right. If the baby wasn't getting enough milk, it definitely wouldn't be having wet nappies. Okay, we have a look at the poo nappies. Is your baby pooing every now and again? And what does that poo look like? Is it hard pellets or is it good, soft breast milk baby poo? Now that's what we're looking at. And then obviously we also go to the clinic once every week or once every 2 weeks or so and weigh our baby in the beginning to know that they're getting enough. All right, and they are gaining weight regularly along their own curve. So that's what we look at. So we look at weight gain, we look at nappies, and we look at the demeanor of this baby. Is this baby happy? Is it waking up? Is it crying? Is it growing? Is it developing? Does it shout at you saying, I'm hungry, give me milk? We know it's getting enough. So, and I think where a lot of people confuse the issues, they think because my baby's not sleeping as like through the night by 4 weeks, it's not getting enough milk. And we really need to disassociate sleep and food quite extensively because they're not always linked.
Okay. So another question, which I find very interesting because for a long time I used to be so mad at everyone that they didn't tell me. Is there anything that one can do to make sure they have enough milk before the baby's born?
Okay. I first want to ask you, why did they not tell you? What did you think they didn't tell you?
Because honestly, when I was pregnant with my first, everybody kept preparing me for labor and, having a baby and all of that fun stuff, but nobody told me how breastfeeding actually works.
Yeah.
So when I had the baby, as soon as we're done with the C-section, I was like, great, now where's the milk? Let's do that, you know?
Yeah.
And then there was no milk. It was that colostrum. And I'm like, but baby is going to be hungry. I had no idea how that worked out. And it took about a few days and a few conversations with different people to say, oh, only after a few days, the milk kicks in. And even then, they didn't tell me, oh, by the way, when it kicks in, you might want to be ready because it might be a little intense.
Okay, so the first thing I want to do, and I'm very big on this language. Okay, I want to change your language, right? Because I don't know if you think it's important, but I really think the way we talk to moms is so important from an understanding point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because a lot of people think and they hear that your milk only comes in on day 4. Okay, so I want to change that language because colostrum is milk. Okay, it is breast milk. All right. So a lot of moms tell me I don't have milk, and then we go and have a look. We go check, and they've got the most amazing colostrum. Okay, so and that is milk. All right. Yeah. So how it works, and I always find if you understand how this whole process works, it's easier for you to understand what the milk does and why it's there and what we're wanting to do with it. Right. So. First of all, in pregnancy, there isn't anything you can do to increase your milk supply while you're pregnant. Okay. Obviously, we want you to eat healthily. We want you to be healthy. In our prenatal consults, we do look at history taking. So we look if moms have got underlying conditions like diabetes or thyroid problems, or if they've had breast reductions, things like that. We have a look. And if there is something in their history that may affect the milk supply or medications they're taking or something, then we can manage it. So it's quite important to get prenatal history with regards to breastfeeding, so we know how to manage things if we can. Then how the milk actually works is when the body is so intelligent. So the body is feeding your baby 24/7 with the placenta while you are pregnant. All right. Then once the placenta is removed, the same hormones that help remove the placenta are the same hormones that kickstart your breastfeeding, that kickstart that colostrum. And in the early days, it is an endocrine effect, meaning that you will have colostrum. Okay. And colostrum, I don't think I need to tell anyone on this chat all the amazing properties of colostrum. Okay, I think you've been told ad nauseum how wonderful it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through that. But the one thing about colostrum that people freak out about is the volume. Okay, because it's measured in teaspoons. Okay, literally measured in teaspoons. Okay. Yeah. So, and this is what freaks people out because they're thinking milk. They're thinking this 150 ml bottle of milk that they're seeing on. Was that you? You. All right. So, the first thing is to understand your baby's tummy. Okay, on day 1 is about the size of a marble. Okay, so it can only fit in the volume of between 5 and sometimes up to 20 mils if we look at all the trials. All right. It's really small. Okay, so they can't actually cope with a volume bigger than that at this stage. Okay, so the colostrum is amazing, and it's more than enough milk for your baby. Okay, and then by day 2 and 3, that volume of colostrum will start to increase. So by day 3, that colostrum volume, when baby's drinking, is up to around 30 mils, potentially. All right, so it's slowly increasing. And then on day 4, where everyone says the milk comes in, the milk was already there from day 1. But what starts to happen is it starts to transition to a mature milk. So this is where I want to change all the people on the chat language. It's not our milk coming in. It's transitioning from colostrum to mature milk. Okay. All right. And in that transition, it moves now from an endocrine effect where the body will just automatically produce it to back to our supply and demand situation. So from day 2, 3, 4, 5 onwards, we need to be feeding the baby to send a message to our body to say, make more milk, transition the milk. And then it transitions for about seven or so days. And then from sort of a week or 2, we're into our full mature milk, which is the milk you're seeing in your brain, that white milk that you can actually see.
On day 1.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I actually do when I go see moms in hospital. The first thing I do after we've had a chat and everything like that is I actually show them their milk. So we hand express a little bit of that colostrum out, and I show it to them, and I say, oh, look at your amazing milk. Look how proud you must be of this. Look how wonderful your body is that it's producing this. And by changing that mindset and the understanding of milk, it helps you understand that there is milk. Okay. Yeah. You don't need to top up your baby unless there's a medical reason to, because you've got milk. You just need to feed that baby and make sure you're latching properly so it is able to transfer it. That's the idea.
So is there any difference in consistency between the milk colostrum and the matured milk?
Absolutely. So the colostrum is like thick, sticky, like yellow. It's a lot thicker. It's almost like a honey or a syrupy type consistency, where obviously your mature milk is more like milk. You know, it's like more liquidy. So I think you spinning. Your video's spinning. There we go. Hello? Hello?
Okay, there we go. Perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Perfect. I can hear you again and see you again.
Yeah, so you were still explaining the difference between the colostrum and the matured milk.
Okay, so your colostrum is a lot thicker in consistency. So it looks more like a syrup or a honey, and it's like a yellowy brown color sometimes. Where your mature milk it looks like milk. It's sort of white and it's more liquid. So I think that's where people get the impression that they don't have milk, is because the colostrum is a lot thicker.
And from my experience with my daughter being in the NICU, I was asked to then hand express for her to get the colostrum as well as the matured milk while she was still there. So is there a way, because I was honestly shell-shocked at how the consistency, first of all, of the colostrum and how little there was. And I was on this worrisome ride that she's never going to get enough. It's never going to work out. We probably need to give her formula. Is it then possible to use a pump to get colostrum, or it's best to just hand express?
So you can use a pump, but hand expressing for colostrum is sometimes a little bit easier because of the volume. So sometimes when you're using a pump, because you're only expressing sort of 5 to 10 mils at a time, you know, by the time it's sort of on the side of the pumps and on the flange, that's sort of all your colostrum. So you can, especially in the first day or two, it's really nice to practice doing a good hand expression, practicing the technique, and it can work a little bit easier. And then once the milk's flowing a little bit better, once we're transitioning to our milk, then it's nice to use a pump. But if you're battling with that, even using a pump is good from a stimulation point of view. So to put the pump on to make sure that you are stimulating the breasts well as well, because you don't have the baby then stimulating you, sending the message to your body to say produce milk. So pumping is not a bad idea if it works for you, but if you're battling from a volume point of view, hand expression is really something that I think a lot of people should learn, is the art of hand expressing, because our hands are always with us. They need no electricity. It's a very important task to manage. And I know in the rural areas, when we go in there sometimes, I have moms who battled for whatever reasons to latch babies, and they hand express for up to 9 months for their babies. And it's very, I mean, I'm gobsmacked and I'm proud of them and I can't believe it, and I try and get them pumps because I just can't believe they're doing this so amazingly. But it is possible to hand express really well and to learn this art of doing it, because it sometimes can work better than any of your pumps on the market.
Yeah.
This hand-on expressing.
Yeah. That's actually very helpful, because I was really stressed out, especially I love that you said when babies born, their tummy's as big as a marble. When her pediatrician said we only need 3 mils of colostrum, I almost fell over. Like, you're going to be starving my preemie baby to death. Are you kidding me?
I know. It's like your mind can't get over this fact that they need a teaspoon of milk on the first day. And that's what they need. That's what they need, and they're doing well. So
yeah. Now I know. I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. I was wrong.
No, we're never wrong. Because when we know better, we do better. We're just
That's
learning. That's all.
that's
We did our best, and now we do a little bit better. That's all.
yeah. So another question, speaking of pumping, when you're breastfeeding, how often can you breastfeed and pump at the same time?
So, pumping's quite nice, and a lot of people think they have to pump, and that's not necessarily true because if your baby's feeding well and regularly and you've got no problem, there's no reason that you have to pump. Okay, so the reasons that we want to pump is if we're wanting to, if for whatever reason we need to give the baby a bottle, like if we're going out somewhere and we can't take the baby with us, then we need to express a little bit of milk to give the baby. All right, so that would be one reason to pump. The other reason to start expressing is start pumping when we're going to start heading back to work, just to start practice pumping first of all. And I always like the moms to have sort of 2 or 3 days worth of milk stored up so that they're not under pressure to pump today for tomorrow, because that puts moms under a lot of pressure when they're back at work already. And we know how life happens, meetings, traffic, whatever. And if you're under that pressure now, if I don't pump now, my baby doesn't have milk tomorrow, that stress of it is actually going to drop your supply. So when you want to pump is when you're wanting to go back to work, okay, or for whatever reason you need to be giving that baby your breast milk in bottles, okay, for whatever that reason. And then a good time to pump is usually, some moms are getting really good results actually pumping while they're breastfeeding, if you can manage it logistically with all the hands that you need. That's a good time. Otherwise, straight after the feed is, if you able to, is to pump after the feed is quite nice. But there's no good time to pump. It's when you're able to do it and it's convenient for you and it's comfortable for you. So I don't like to prescribe you have to pump at this time and you have to pump at that time. The only time I do sort of prescribe it a little bit is to say, I want you to try and pump. If you give your baby a bottle, I want you to try and pump for every bottle that you give your baby, because we need to be sending that message to the body to produce milk, because just to maintain our supply.
Yeah. Would then the pumping, would it mess or increase your supply? So I've heard or read somewhere where they said if you're pumping, so if you're breastfeeding your baby but you're not getting enough milk, you can pump to increase your milk supply. Is that true?
Yes.
Or a myth?
No, absolutely true. Because remember, it's all on supply and demand. So the more milk we're removing, the more milk our body is going to produce. So it is one of the methods that we do use to help moms increase their milk supply. So if moms have had a low supply, or for whatever reason they didn't feed properly in the beginning, or they're wanting to increase their supply, we use pumping techniques to actually increase the supply really well. And it works well because it's all on supply and demand. And sometimes we just caution our moms who have got a lot of milk, because sometimes they are pumping too much because they're trying to build their stash. And we can even sometimes cause an oversupply in these moms, where they actually have too much milk and the babies are battling to cope with the volumes that are coming through, and they're getting engorged and things. So you really do need to manage your pumping according to what your baby's needs actually are as well. But it's definitely the best way. You were asking me earlier, what are the ways to increase your milk supply? If you do have low supply, pumping is one of the best ways to actually increase that supply.
Okay. So another question here, which is about breastfeeding, but off breastfeeding. It came up a lot. They're saying, how can one wean baby off breastfeeding?
Okay. This is the hard part, because there's an emotional component to this as well. Remember, breastfeeding is not only about food. It's about, the bonding, and anyone who's breastfed understands that there's this connection. And sometimes when your baby's upset or whatever, you use breastfeeding to help calm them and relax them, and ourselves as well. When we're not feeling well, sometimes we let our babies breastfeed just to calm us. So there's an emotional component. So the number one thing is that you both have to be ready. Because sometimes mom's ready, but baby's not quite ready to be weaned. And sometimes baby's ready, but mom's not quite ready to let go yet to undo that. So you have to make a decision. And I always say, don't stop breastfeeding on a bad day. You want to stop breastfeeding on a good day. So, and that's something I really teach. Even if you've only been breastfeeding for 2 weeks and you want to stop, I want you to stop on a good day. So what we can do is you can do it naturally, where we just slowly but surely stop giving feeds, and you start giving bottle feeds or wherever your baby's at that point, depending on how old they are. We give milk feeds from another place or another source, and you can do it slowly but surely over time. And we usually ending with a night feed, that one before bed or that early morning one is usually the last to go. And then slowly but surely just wean off. And if you are still having milk, it's important not to stimulate, but you want to take off just a little bit enough milk to make you comfortable. And as the days go by, your milk will start to get less and less and less through that. Or you can take, you can go to the pharmacy and you can take a medication to actually slow down your milk supply, to actually stop it, right? But that's more for if you're wanting to stop immediately for whatever reason. But a more natural approach is a nicer way to actually slow down that milk supply and slowly but surely get the baby off the breast. And that's how we wean nicely.
Makes sense.
Yeah, peacefully.
A few more questions here. I see one from, it says, any tips for inverted nipples, baby struggling to latch?
Okay, so if your nipple is getting inverted, that is something you can do while you're pregnant. So if you know you've got inverted nipples, what you can start doing during pregnancy is...
Can I just budge in quickly? How would you know if you have inverted nipples?
So you can actually see them. They're completely inside. Okay, your nipple actually... I don't have my nipples with me, so I've got mine, but not not my show-off ones. But they're actually completely inside. So even on stimulation, the nipple never actually becomes erect. It never actually comes out. That's how we can know. So what we can start doing during pregnancy, and this is where I ask your partners to help you, is to actually do a little bit of rolling of the nipples, try and stimulate them a little bit. Obviously, if you're at a high-risk pregnancy, you need to check with your doctor first, but you just roll your nipples nicely, make sure that they're coming out. We ask the partners to try and pull on them a little bit to help pull them out. You can also get things called nipple pullers, which actually help pull the nipple out. There are a few companies who make them, and we actually help just pull the nipples out a little bit. And if we're still battling, lactation consultants will sometimes prescribe nipple shields and things in the beginning just to help that baby latch nicely and get that nipple out for you. And usually over time, that nipple starts to come out, and eventually we can start feeding well without devices or anything.
Okay. That makes sense. Another question says, what would be the best way to administer the hand-expressed milk?
Okay, so a nice way to administer it is via cup feeding. I don't know if anyone's ever done cup feeding, but there's a lot of videos out there, and your lactation consultant will actually help you with cup feeding. Or you can use a syringe, especially if the volumes are low. When the volumes are low, I mean in the early 1 or 2 days when we're only administering small amounts. You can use a syringe, and you can use finger feeding as well, where you put the syringe and your finger inside just to help the baby to learn to suck correctly on that, and you can finger feed. And then obviously you can use a bottle if you're wanting to as well, to actually give them that expressed milk. But we try to do cup feeding or finger feeding or syringe feeding in the early days, just to help with the flow confusion a little bit as well.
Okay. Another one here, just a few more questions and then we'll be done.
Go for it.
I'm not sure if you can see it. It says, I've read that you should only pump after 6 weeks. Is that true, or can you pump as soon as you're ready?
So we like you to, and this is where I was talking about that oversupply issue coming through. So it takes around 6 to 8 weeks for your milk supply to really stabilize, for your body to understand how much baby needs versus how much it should make. So if you can wait the 6 weeks, it depends on when you're going back to work and things. So if you can wait the 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, really establish breastfeeding, get that supply established nicely according to your baby's needs, that is really important, and we like that. So if you are a happy, healthy breastfeeder, then we like you to wait 6 to 8 weeks if you can before you start pumping. But if for whatever reason you need to, you can pump before that. But also, I like moms to think about it. You know, breastfeeding is hard work. Okay, no one's going to lie to you and tell you it's easy. So why are we putting pressure on ourselves in those first 6 weeks to now pump as well? Okay, let's just get breastfeeding right first.
One baby,
Yeah. So obviously, some of our moms who are going back to work at 6 weeks, we need to help them out, and they need to start a little bit earlier. But if there's no reason for you to do it, then wait. Get breastfeeding right. Enjoy your baby before we start pressurizing ourselves with additional work as well.
True. Another question that came up, which I'm interested to know as well. You know, you hear a lot of people saying, I couldn't breastfeed at all because I had no milk. I tried everything and anything and there was nothing. Is that true, or is that just a myth? Like, can you not have milk at all?
So there's some medical conditions that can cause you to have no milk, but to be honest with you, it's very rare, especially the colostrum side. I think the stats, correct me if I'm wrong, but like 0.1% of women have no milk, okay, especially the colostrum. Things like breast reductions can impact your supply, and you can really battle to have milk supply with that. And we really work hard with our moms who've had breast reductions who want to breastfeed, psychologically and milk supply, and some get to a full milk supply, others we can only manage sort of a half milk supply. And then there's certain underlying conditions. So things like uncontrolled diabetes can sometimes make that transition from colostrum to mature milk. It sometimes only happens around day 7 or 8. So those moms we have to work very hard with to, and we may have to supplement with those for those babies in the early days because they're needing more milk and the mom's just not producing. And I think this is where it comes from, is there's underlying conditions. And then certain things like if you lost a lot of blood during the birthing process, so whether it was a normal birth or a C-section and there was excessive bleeding for whatever reason, that actually sometimes in a very simplistic way switches off your pituitary gland, and then your mature milk takes a little bit longer to start coming through, to start transitioning to your mature milk. So there are a few things like that, or certain medications that the moms might be taking, and unbeknownst to them, those medications lower your supply or just take away your milk supply. So that's why I think it's important to get that history taking almost before you've actually had the baby. So I like a prenatal one, and then we can chat about that. And if we know you've got these conditions, we can pre-plan for them already, just to avoid that disappointment and that bad feeling, you know, of I've got no milk.
Yeah. So essentially it's best to just wait a few days, just to make sure that there really is nothing, or that maybe to just get over whatever it is that you're going through, like you just explained, just to make sure that your milk comes in either day 8, day 7. Just be patient.
Yeah, it is important to feed the baby, though. I mean, our number one thing is we feed babies. You know, the babies get food. So I think, it's very important that you do work together with a healthcare professional to guide you through this and help you increasing your milk supply or supplementing the baby with the best things we can find, whether that be donor milk or formula or whatever is available at that stage. And then we work to get your milk where it should be at that stage. So I think there it's very important to partner with someone like a lactation consultant or a healthcare professional who's actually trained in helping you with this milk supply issue.
Talking of milk supply, are there any supplements that one can take? I know you mentioned earlier that there's a lot of people that are selling stuff and telling people things, but are there any supplements that one can take to increase your milk supply?
So there's one or two that have been researched shown to increase your milk supply. And the problem with the research is a large part of it is a placebo effect. And that's why I think all these myths come out as well, which I've got no problem with. So if you believe it's going to increase your milk supply and it does, well done. Go for it. As long as it's not harmful, go for it. But things that have really been researched, so moringa powder works very well. So your products that have got moringa in, we do know. The moms tell me they feel the powder works better than the tablets or anything like that. So, but it's just terrible to take. But some shoot them, some put them in smoothies, whatever, just to take. But it's a superfood and it's good for COVID anyway. So moringa powder can work. Then a lot of moms take fenugreek. But remember, if you are taking fenugreek, the important thing is it can have gastrointestinal side effects. So you can get bloated tummies, cramping, all of those things. And plus, if you're allergic to nuts, you can't take fenugreek. And if you've got thyroid problems or you're diabetic, you cannot take fenugreek. So you just have to be a little bit wary about just popping something. Just taking anything. So there are a few products on the market that we do recommend to some people to take. But generally we try, number one, find the cause of the low milk supply, because I think that's your number one thing to fix the problem. And then secondly, use pumping techniques rather, or expressing techniques to increase the milk supply. And then we use those as a backup. Just, if our moms are really, really battling. I sort of go through a number of things before we start asking moms to spend money on products.
Yeah.
So, because some of it is marketing and they make all these claims. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, you'll know that the minute that claim pops up, I ask the person for the research to please send me the research on your claim. So I troll all these things, all of these products. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you're enjoying it and you feel that it's increasing your milk supply and you can afford to have it, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. True. It's oats or whether it's bars or whether it's cookies or whatever. Just don't put on too much eating all these things.
So this topic has got a lot of questions, but just one last question. Otherwise, we'd be here all day. I see here it says, is back pain normal while you're breastfeeding?
Okay. I always say I don't think the word pain and normal should ever be in the same sentence, okay? Because pain is not normal, all right? But I do find a lot of moms do get a little bit of back pain, and it's largely because their position is wrong. So we always talk about feeding positions for the baby, but an important thing I talk about is feeding positions for a mom, okay? And what we tend to do as moms is we tend to hunch over like this and always be watching our baby drinking, okay, which is a very bad position, okay? You all end up at the Cairo, baby, mom, everyone, okay? So I always teach moms, and it's something I teach them to do when they're breastfeeding, is I say, I want you, before I bring baby near you, I say to you, I want you to sit like you watch TV, okay? Because that to me is your comfort zone, your comfort position that you're in. So I get the moms to sit in a TV watching position, okay, get comfortable, and then we position the baby after that. Okay, so that mom's in a nice laid back, comfortable position. Because I was a mom too. I am a mom, so I know we let Princess lie in their perfect position, and we just adjusted ourselves and our whatever. And like, okay, they latched, and we just sat there.
It just wait.
I'm not moving. If I flinch, then she's gonna unlatch, and then it's gonna hurt. So I'm imploring moms not to do that, okay? I want you in a comfortable position, a good position, and then we put baby into a correct position. So mom's feeding in a nice laid back, and it's ultimately better for the baby as well when you're in a nice laid back, comfortable, boobs out position, and it's good for the flow of the milk and everything. And similarly, when we pump, a lot of moms lean over and they drop watch. So they watch every drop that comes out of that pump. Okay, and that causes back and neck pain, all sorts of. We all drop watch. Don't worry.
I want to see what I'm doing here, and if anything is happening.
Exactly.
But normally when I'm done pumping, I do that a lot when I'm pumping, and when I'm done, it's sore everywhere because I was hunching for so long. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you just one thing on pumping. Can I say one thing on pumping?
Sorry?
I want you to relax. Can I say one more thing for pumping? On your question there, I want you to relax pump, okay? So what I mean by that is I want you to cover the pump, okay? So whether you put a sock over the bottle or you put a cover over the pump so you cannot drop watch. And I want you to put a headset in so you can't hear the woot, 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 yeah? And I want you to watch a video of your baby or watch TV or put on a music concert or something like that. And I want you to relax while you're pumping.
I'm
Okay,
gonna
to
try
stop
it.
that.
I tried the sock one before, but I was still so paranoid. I would still peek like, what's going on? What's going on?
It's like I can't wait till the end to see.
Yeah. But anyway,
That's why you got to
Samantha,
distract
thank you
us.
so much for your time and for sharing. Yeah, true. But thank you so much.